DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And we're here. And he gave me a countdown again.
Yeah, twice in a row.
Like, I know. Although there's that week off in between, but we won't count that. So.
And you know, I just kept doing countdowns. And I was, Dan, where are you? Dan, where are you?
No, wait a minute.
And then I cried a little bit. I cried a little bit.
There was no way I was surviving anything. But I was told that MJ filled in.
He did. He came in and we talked about all sorts of stuff. Pretty much we spent most of the time talking about you because we knew you wouldn't be watching the show because why would you watch one of the shows, when you weren't there?
I was huddled up, hurting.
I don't know if it's huddled up or if it would be like in the fetal position, saying, make it go away.
Yeah, that's about what it was.
That's one of those.
About what it was. It was a rough week last week. But we are back.
Ta-da!
And, or I'm back, I guess I should say.
We are back.
John always was here, but, hey. But thank you very much for taking time to join us on this Monday evening because we've got a wonderful, wonderful topic tonight. In case you didn't see the title of it, it's the gear, the one piece of gear that you want. And I had to ask John this because I really thought when he did this was like MJ. We used to have when there was the three of us, and then when Shane was joining, it was four of us, and it was all right, let's brainstorm a piece of gear that you would want to throw in, what would it have on it? No, we're talking legit gear, stuff you could go out and buy tonight, or half of you are probably going to throw in the chat room and go I've got that, Dan. Come on, just get it.
And we want to kind of open this up so you guys can play along with us now. And I don't want you to just start throwing out pieces of gear that you're like, oh yeah, I want the new computer. I want there's some thought behind this because I don't want this just to be that, I want the new, the new Pioneer, da 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 da. And maybe that would be your ultimate thing. But to really, really, in the first part of this show, Dan, is I want to kind of discuss our thought process behind, deciding, do we make a purchase or not? Because I think that sometimes, especially at this time of the year, it's so easy to get caught up in oh my God, it's on sale. Ching, ching. Is pretty much every website you go to right now, as far as in the DJ realm, you go to NLFX Pro or any of the others, NLFXPro.com. You go to their website and it's hey, you can buy it, and there's no interest payments for da 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 da, and there's no credit check and all these different things that are out there with these little side credit companies. So it makes the temptation is right there.
Oh yeah, and then everybody throws in the whole. Well, you need to have the tax rate off right before the end of the year.
There is that.
So that is a benefit. We could say that might actually go into some of your thought process.
And that, we can just talk a little bit about that because for those of you who do your own taxes, there's a lot of things that have changed over the last couple of years since the presidency has changed. But for those of you who have your accountant do it, there are things though that have changed that you guys and gals need to be aware of. With the donations specifically, how the donations are being handled. If you're making a donation to this, this GoFundMe page or this civic group here, some of those things have changed from what they were 5 years ago. So some of those write-offs aren't there, and yet I hate to say it, as Dan was alluding to, that buying a pair of bass boss speakers that William was just talking about is technically a write-off, depending upon if you're going to take it as a full write-off this year or partial. It's still part of that.
It is. It is. I'll be honest. The other thought I saw when John asked, that we were going to talk about this, I thought it's my Christmas bonus.
Yeah.
No.
I thought there was a pack of gum around here for you somewhere, but I'm not finding it. I must have obviously
one more gum than I got last year.
Yeah. No, I guess you're not even getting it again this year. Life's tough. Life's tough. The Red Ryder BB gun. There we go. That's what we need. Yeah, that person needs that. So Dan, as we sit here and are kind of looking at something that you would want to be adding to your show, is let's say that you had the money to add one thing to your company. What are some of the criteria that you would look at before making that decision to buy X over Y when it came to those, getting down to those, okay, I like this and I like this. What would make you decide from, adding a light or a speaker, as an example?
Mm-hmm. So every decision that I make for my business for the last few years has always centered around speed. I want something that's going to speed up my setup, speed up my teardown, something that's going to get me in and out of my venue faster. So when I start looking at that, there's a point where something I want to add, if it's going to add 10 minutes to my setup, I really got to have it. Like, it's really got to be something like a couple has come to me or a corporate client has come to me and said, we want that. Anything beyond that, and I'm just like, I don't want to have to mess with that. I don't want to have to take it out. And be honest with you, when I'm talking about it with a client, it's hard for me to want to do the upsell, because in my heart, I'm just like, man, that's more setup I've got to do. That's more I have to take in. So that's one of the big things that always comes to mind for me first. Before cost, before it's shiny. It's, is this going to speed up, or is it going to drastically slow down what I'm going to do?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. And I guess that's an important part. While I have looked at the speed and such, and that certainly is a part of it, my biggest part right now is I'm looking for what's going to give me the best quality sound coverage. Mm-hmm. Is where I'm at right now, because this past summer of having multiple shows where I was doing sound over a larger area, the New Year's or the Thanksgiving Black Friday event, covering a half mile of Main Street with sound. So that has kind of moved to the forefront of what's going to give me better quality sound. And to that end, some of the things that I have looked at, as you guys have all seen me talking about excuse me, it's right here, the Sennheiser X system, which are on special from NLFX Pro. You can go out to NLFX Pro. They're on special. But, looking at things such as this, looking at in-ear monitor systems, looking at different speaker methodologies of putting speakers together and different things. All these have been part of that process of, having that sound coverage, not sound pressure anymore, just having the best sound and sound coverage that I probably wouldn't have been thinking about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, setup is nice and such, but even with that, I think that's probably where my top of the, or more important.
Well, I think, as we're talking about anything that we add, obviously, I would hope that and those that are chiming in with different things from the chat room as well, that you want the quality product too.
For sure.
That's going to be that clear sound, that's going to give you that good feel, regardless of whether we're talking about sound coverage, we're talking about speed, we are talking about products that are, not going to downgrade what we've got.
Right. Yeah. That step backwards thing is not not cool. And yeah, some of the gear that comes through for reviews and such, yeah, using some of that in the field would have been a step backwards.
Like, I can buy a product that's going to let me set up in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody's going to want me to bring that into their event, though.
Well, you never know. Having that little Sony boomboxy thing with the little LED in front going tick, 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 would be pretty cool. Bluetooth to your phone, awesome.
Actually, my wife said you should say that you want earpods.
Earbuds.
The AirPods. And I said, but that means I have to DJ with Bluetooth, and I don't do that. She goes, I know, that's the joke. My wife actually pays attention to that.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's pretty impressive.
It was.
That's really impressive. I really think she wanted a pair of earpods, and this was her way of telling you to buy her some.
I'm glad you're here to set me straight on these things, John,
But
because I don't think like that.
If we're going to buy something, though, because you love your wife, you need to get her something like the Bose version. And the biggest reason for the Bose version is because they have active noise canceling. She could put those in, she could turn that on, and she wouldn't have to listen to pretty much anything you say.
So I need those.
See, now I was going in a direction I wasn't going to get you in trouble. You just turned it right around to get yourself in trouble.
I haven't been married as long as you have.
Obviously not.
I haven't learned.
We
Teach
have-
me your ways, Obi-Wan.
We have to work on this one. So yeah, the sound thing is really become a big thing. Dave mentions in the chat room talking about the Roland, the 707M. I think that particular piece of gear is going to be high on a lot of people's list of gear that they would, this is the piece I really want to get. Multiple microphone inputs where you have the EQ control on each of those microphone inputs. I mean, from my understanding, you could get up to 5 mics put into this if you were running wireless and different things. The interesting part, Dan, about that controller is that a lot of the people who have we have the Denon 7000s that we use. Mm-hmm. You're still using your 7000?
Yes.
Okay. So they've got that. Or a couple of people have got the 8000. They're buying this Roland as a backup, not as a main, but as a backup controller. And I guess, whatever works for a person. But it's just surprising to me that people are buying this, and they're going to probably use it when they need that 3 or 4 microphone in a karaoke type event, what have you. But that particular unit, the first words you usually hear out of their mouth is like, I needed a good backup controller, and this is going to be that controller.
See, and I personally, I don't think of it that way. Like it's on my list. So I've got 2 pieces here to come at you. One if we were going sound, and one if we were going lighting.
Nice.
And it's on my list. And I actually looked at it there was Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales where, I was seeing like 20% off, and I'm like, you know what, that's going to drop it down. That's going to be a price that maybe, we can talk about. But I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. But for me, it wasn't. Yeah, I've got 2 mic inputs on my 7000, but I don't have the sound control that the 707 does. So, for example, on channel 1, you've got high, mid, low, where you've got high and low on the 7000, and on mic 2, you've only got a pan, basically, high, low tone. Where on the 707 you've got high, mid, low.
Yep.
So you've got full control on the 2 main mics, and then the zone send, is another thing. Like that was one of the things that when the Prime 4 came out, that was suddenly like, hey, this is awesome. This is something that really is a great feature for us. And unless there's like some funky software setting to your 7000, I'm not as familiar with that, being able to do that. So for me, I suddenly was like, okay, these are some things that really made it that I wanted to potentially pick it up. For me, there was 2 things. It was a price point, and the cases that are currently out for it, I'm not liking.
Right.
I've heard rumors of some ones coming on, but not with any definitive piece that I could be like, okay, if I get this, by the time I get things going for spring, I'm going to have the setup I need. And just to break, for me, man, that's an expensive backup.
Let's talk about that case situation. What were you looking for in a case that's not available as of right now?
So for the 707, there are 2 cases that I've seen. Odyssey, which has basically just a flat bottom to it with a slant rack top. So you've got the device is going to sit in, you're going to put the slant rack on top, and that's it. I talked about speed. I like having everything pre-wired so that when I come in, I have a patch panel for my 7000. So I plug into the patch panel, I run to my speakers, plug it in there, and I'm up and running.
Right.
I'm not Oh, now I've got to hook up my wireless mics. Oh, now I have to hook up the mixer, and doing 4 and 5, additional things. That's not a lot, but it still takes extra time. And for me, it's also wear and tear on plugs that are on the system, as opposed to a patch panel, which if something goes down, I can replace the patch panel cheaply and inexpensively and easily. So that's the Odyssey one. There is one from ProX, which has a single space underneath, which is better. Gives me at least one. But depending upon the spacing, and I really didn't look into it farther, I would really ideally like two. I would really at least like a 2 space rack. One that I potentially could put my patch panel, one that I could put my mics, running my mics, and then hopefully have room in the back to be able to put a surge protector or power strip that I can just sit in there, attach in there, however.
And you're going to see that, I believe they should be here for NAMM. It's called the Dan Carpenter DJ controller case, which has actually 2 rack spaces below and 1 in the back.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard about that yet, but...
I did not hear about that.
Yes. It weighs, once you put everything in there, about 7,000 pounds. So...
That's my 7,000 right now.
It comes with its own wheel kit. But these aren't just your regular, like your dolly wheels. These are like your 15-inch truck tire wheels. And then it puts a steering wheel on top so you can drive it right in. So, the Dan Carpenter DJ controller case.
Yeah.
Coming to you 2020.
I will say this, though. There's two downsides to the system that I have, no matter what. Because, like I said, I've talked about all the stuff that I have in mind. So, the 7,000, if you didn't know, at least the case that I have, and I think it's an Odyssey case, you talked about the rack in the front and the rack in the back. I have a rack in the front and a rack in the back. I've taken the rack in the back out because I found that I couldn't reach the stuff that I needed to reach with it very easily. But there's actually a space that you can put those rails there. But then I have attached my mics, my dual mics, underneath my slant rack, so that I created an extra space there. So I, in essence, have 3 spaces on my current one. Yeah, it's heavy. That's a huge downside.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Just following the chat. Getting on it. Yeah, the DC DJ1 is the name of the controller. David, you guessed it right on.
Nice job, David.
Yeah, it'll be introduced.
But no, in all seriousness, I have heard that supposedly there's a 2 space. Now, whether there's any truth to that or not.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures actually.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it. So it does exist. It's just that I don't think I don't know if they've made it across the ocean yet, but they are on their way. So speed is obviously an important thing for your setup. How does that translate into your light show?
So currently, I'm just running a 4-bar wash. I'm a big proponent of wash lights as opposed to the dots, as opposed to the lasers or anything to do with any of those types. So I currently run a 4-bar wash light. I was using the 4-bar tri, and I've recently gone to the 4-bar quad BT or LT.
Okay.
BT.
LTBT.
Yeah. And again, because what I was controlling on the 4-bar wash was colors and some chase programs. That's all. I wasn't getting super fancy with the tri. And so the Bluetooth allowed me to do that with my phone.
Yeah.
So now I'm not starting up a Show Express program or anything like that. I'm bringing up the device. I'm bringing up the Bluetooth on my tablet, on my iPad, and I'm controlling it, and away we go. Now, when I need my bigger stuff, when I'm bringing out my uplights and I'm not just doing a single color with them, now I'm getting a little bit more in depth, and I have what I need to hook up so that it sends the signal and all that. But
so let's talk about you mentioned uplights. One of the areas I have uplights, and I've talked on in the past that I do not have battery powered uplights. Well, the closest I have now are those little things from Chauvet, but I did not choose to go that direction because I do it so infrequently that I would have to charge whatever. Does your when you're looking at your uplights now, have you gone to the battery powered ones because of that want and desire for speed, or have you stayed with a corded, or what have you done there?
Oh, I went as soon as I could justify it. I went battery powered
Okay.
and wireless. Mine, some of it was speed, but some of it, more often than not, it was because of electrical outlets. The places that I was playing in, the outlets weren't in a nice place, or I was running a ton of cords, and maybe I was the only one to notice it or to see it, but it was just too much.
Right.
Like, I didn't like the look. I didn't like having a cord run, 2 feet up a wall, because that's where they had the outlet, up higher. And so as soon as I could justify it, I went battery powered and wireless and have not looked back. And to kind of add in the time that it saved me, the control that I have, I'm not running power. I'm not running DMX like cords to them. I set them down. I'm all set, ready to go. If I have to adjust, it's done software. It's done from the booth, and I can look at the entire room while it's happening. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but at least for the ones where you can set them, and then you're not running them DMX, so you're just setting the color on them. Oftentimes, what ends up happening is when I set it, I'm thinking, it looks good, and then I take 15 steps back and I go, ooh. That didn't quite look like I thought it did. All right, now I have to go up and I have to tweak it again. If I'm controlling it from my booth and I'm adjusting it from my booth, now, all of them that I've assigned to that address are changing at the same time.
Yep.
And I'm seeing it from a distance. So now I'm seeing what the guest is seeing, not somebody who's 2 inches from the light is seeing. So, mine, it was an ease. It was a speed. And it was also just a practicality because of some of the venues. I mean, sometimes I have a hard enough time trying to find enough plugs just to plug my system in because of where they put me with what power's nearby, let alone trying to do uplighting in a room.
Interesting. I the outlet thing, the lack thereof outlets in rooms, I haven't run into that since VFW type days, when it would be the VFW and they had the cookers are over on the side and they'd have the coffee pots on the other side. And, let's see, if I plug in on this side of the stage, I'm on the cooker, the roasters. And if I'm over here, I'm on with the coffee pot. I'm screwed. Yeah, there's no way to, but yeah, I haven't had that in so long that's an interesting dilemma that I had not thought of. So you mentioned you had 2 items, one of which must have been the Roland. Okay, what was in the lighting side then, if we were going to talk lighting?
So the lighting was, and I think I'm calling it by the right one because I was trying to track it down again, was the Pro X Flex Totem.
Okay.
And Jimmy could probably weigh in the chat room. There's the one that he picked up, very similar type of idea of truss totem.
Yeah.
That, folds down, shrinks down, collapses to a small bag that you can carry in and carry out. And it's kind of funny because I've talked about speed. This is why one of the reasons why I've held off on this is I'm assuming it takes longer to assemble that than to hammer my pins in on my big trussing.
Yeah, very, very possible. Yeah. Convenience of smaller to transport, backseat of the car type of thing. But it does take time to, unzip the bag, set the pieces out, untap, put the 2 and screw, and it's good. Yeah, there's fiddling around with it, no question about it.
But I also don't take my totems out frequently at all. So for me to invest in something like that, when I've already got the regular trussing, it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna wait till either it's going out more frequently, where I can make use of it more often, or where I'm just out of space and I'm like, you know what, I need to get rid of my trussing and have something smaller. So,
interesting.
Especially those guys who are, guys and gals who are hauling with a car. It's going to be hard to put, 6-foot trussing into your car and make use of it. So.
Oh, very much so. I mean, that's one of the negative things I have. I have the 2 meter totems, but unless I put them in the truck at an angle, and I can't use 2 of them. I don't know exactly what I did when I bought them the very first time, because I bought them and I used them at a prom, and I don't remember if we hauled them in a different vehicle to our local school or if I used a trailer. I just don't know what I did, but I've tried to use them a couple of times since then, and it's like, okay, if I get my speakers in the back of the truck, I can get one of those totems in the top, and that's it. Yeah, I might as well just use them as a jungle gym for my cats to climb on or something. I don't know. Well, that's interesting. I would have. There's a lot of different lights out there and such, and I would have thought that maybe something like that would have jumped out.
When it comes to lighting, and this also might be more what I'm comfortable with. I'm not a big programmer, right? Mm-hmm. I love watching Howie's light scenes when we were at Irish Pub last year, when he had the program show and really had to do a bunch of stuff. I loved seeing program shows, but sometimes I struggle with the creative aspect of making the lights do a bunch of different things.
Right.
And so to invest in lights that I now have to program, I love the idea. And there's a lot of lights, I think in theory, I would say, hey, that'd be cool to have, and that would be fun. Whether it's fun for the client or not, if it's fun for us, sometimes it's worth it.
Right.
As long as it doesn't tick off the client, right? But knowing kind of some of my own limitations, I've kind of held back on those other lights or those other pieces, and kept it to the 4-bar wash, because I know it's something that's not going to be intrusive for most people. It's not going to set things off, and if you've got a photographer that's worth a darn, they're probably going to be able to overpower it in the right way, yet not ruin the ambience of what it does.
But ruining ambiance, isn't that kind of the fun part of it?
Only for a couple of photographers that come to mind.
Yeah, bags in the corner, cords there, big orange extension cords running that flash over on the wall. Yeah, looks fabulous. I love it. At least that was my thought. So as I was thinking about this, I've gone like 6 different directions of what I would be, because obviously the idea of that sound spread. I was thinking, the in-ear system, like Ben described, the Sennheiser in-ear system. That sounded absolutely fabulous, but reliability becomes a question. Can you be able to reliably use the wireless system everywhere? And most of the time you can. There's going to be a few times you can't. When in doubt, as Ben says, use wires. And then it's like, okay, so then I want something that's going to give me that sound. And I came back for audio-wise. The thing I would probably do is add 2 more Evolve 50s. I have 2, and I would probably add 2 more to give me that opportunity to do that surround sound. And I have done surround sound with other speakers. I do have one RCF J8. I've used that on a couple of occasions across the room. I've used speakers on a stick, with a 12-inch two-way on a stick across the room. And those have been fine, but they don't have the same sound quality as the Evolve 50s. So that's probably, as I've gone through and I've weighed out the in-ear capabilities, the Roland controller looks very cool, and I had, that was really something of interest. But it really came down to, for what I would, if I were going to invest sound-wise for 2020, I would probably, a second set of Evolve 50s would be what I go to. And it came to the lighting. And we didn't talk about this, but I was thinking a sound thing and a lighting thing also, so we could have this discussion. I came down to lighting, and I really, this is an area in which I would almost have to, now I'm going to start, in essence, dreaming of what that light should be to a point, because it's like, okay, because of the wanting it quick and a simple system, the 2 things I would probably be interested in is something that's Bluetooth controlled, just because of the convenience of that using the cell phone. But I would like a little bit brighter version, or maybe a little bit bigger version of that wireless, that one little Chauvet one that I've got, which are the Q1 Bluetooth version, something like that, whatever it was. But it's a little battery-powered Bluetooth light. that would have to be bigger for me to invest, or to get some sort of an effect light that was working with that same Bluetooth system. I've got moving heads. I've got the bigger moving heads. I've got smaller moving heads. I've got, flood and wash moving heads. I've got a lot of that kind of stuff already, and they're cool. And when I'm doing DMX, they're neat. Like when we're doing a prom and something, and Michael's gone through and he's programmed all these scenes. It's really neat stuff. But this is where that wanting to be quick and efficient with setup and teardown comes in. Just not liking the idea of, it's like, okay, we're going to set up all the 15 lights around the room, and I've got to run cords, DMX wiring to them, and power to each one of them, and just not cool. One of the tent weddings, I used those little Bluetooth Chauvet lights, and they've got a magnet in the bottom of them, so it's like went through and it went ting 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 ting. I went through and to 8 of the uprights that were steel uprights. That was my light show. They were set. I turned it on, chink, turn it on, chink, and when I got back to turned on the cell phone or the iPad, and finding, they were linked. I was done. At the end of the night, I took my little duffel bag and walked around the room, and as fast as I could pull them down and stick them in the bag, that was the teardown. Mm-hmm. Love it. It could flood the room in whatever color, the sequence of colors that I was going through for that particular application. It was fabulous. So that's what I came up with. In the lighting, unfortunately, there's just not anything out there that makes me say, "Ooh, I want that right now."
It'd be nice to have a light to attach it to drywall
without damaging the drywall. Let's add.
Well,
that
yeah. Like like a magnetic stick, but to the drywall. No, I joke, but it'd be nice just for that simple fact of what you said. Just like to ching 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 for the tent. Do that in a ballroom, because you decide that you're going to I want to be able to put up lighting, but that's right, you put like tables everywhere where there's supposed to be an up light.
Right, and if you could get a light starting at 5 feet up and going up to the ceiling, you would have a really cool effect,
and not be in anybody's eyes.
Yeah, that would be really neat. So the only way you could do that is to get some of that, those little command strips, and you pull down.
Yeah,
I'm
not doing that.
I don't think they have enough. And think of the venue captain when they'd be like, "What did you do to my wall strip? It'll come off cleanly."
And that's the time the drywall comes with.
That was wallpaper. I'm sorry. Didn't know. So yeah, I'm seeing some people talk about Evolve 50s. There's some higher end. Dave mentions RCF. RCF has some higher end little array systems like that, and as does LD systems and a few others. For the bang for the buck, that Evolve 50 has just been the nicest one for quick setup, best quality sound, nice look, and price wise has really been there, because you can buy some of these systems for, well, Dave mentions $2,500 each for the RCF system. You can almost get 2 of the Evolve systems for that price, especially if you're buying them during a trade show. Mm-hmm. They will be back in that range. So. But the one area that I just couldn't get excited about, and yet that's the one area my son Michael would go for, is subwoofers. He's still, as a teenager, he's like, okay, I need another pair of subs before prom. It's like, well, you've got 2 already. And we do have that one system, we have multiple systems here. We have a system that has 4 subs, so we can run dual on each side. Yeah, no, I want to have more than that.
That sounds like a friend of mine. They do this. They do a couple big events. Keep in mind, all right?
Okay.
But I think at the one event, the most recent one, I saw some pictures. He's sitting on top of these subs, and I think they put 8 of them in the room, and they were EVs, and I don't know if they were ETXs or not, but they were high end EVs, okay, or higher end EVs, and like. And I've been in the room, and I'm like, either you're running them at quarter power or you've got something messed up, because when you're setting 8 of them together, there should be something like my teeth should be gone because they rattle down my mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's a point where you just kind of go, enough's enough.
And I think that kind of drifting back into the Evolve 50 discussion, and not specifically Evolve 50, could be the J8, it could be any of the others where they have the 12-inch subwoofer. DJs are it's like, oh, can I add a sub to that? It's probably one of the first questions, I think, when we did the video on the Evolve 50 the first time. Can we add an additional sub? And it's like, most of the applications or most of the events we do, we're the only ones who are sitting there thinking, oh, there's not enough bass. Yep. Most of our guests are out there. They're dancing. They're having a good time. Keep in mind, most of the guests here have either heard or have owned a car with a Bose sound system in it. And the Bose sound system has a bass you can hear. It doesn't have as much of the bass you can feel, but it's the bass you can hear. And they find that sound pleasurable. Well, that means that those 18-inch subwoofers, which can make the bass we can feel, they aren't necessary for most events unless you're doing teen events, and that's a different world. But when wedding DJs are like, oh, I need more subs at my weddings, it just is absolutely, it's like, do you talk to your clients? Have you asked people? Have you paid attention? Or is it just the DJ in you coming out?
Yeah. And yeah, I've had more, I don't think I've ever, maybe one time, and where they're like, can you give us some more? Like, can you give us some more feel out of it? And it was like, okay. And all I had to do was actually tweak my settings, and I gave it more like with what I had. I didn't need a sub. I just needed to EQ it better for that crowd. Yeah. I've had more compliments on the sound from those types than the other box styles.
For sure.
Just because it's more of an all-in-one, we're all working together. We're not, this is trying to do everything, and now we got some bass, or it's an all-in-one type of feel to it.
And again, the Evolve 50s are just ones that we've used and are familiar with. There are others out there. I don't think that EV is the only one. It's just that we've used it and we can say, yes, it does a lot. Not everything, but it does quite a bit. The J-Mix, the J8 is certainly from RCF is definitely cheaper than the Evolve, or less expensive than the Evolve. It can be somewhere between $300 and $400 less, depending upon when you're buying it and where you're buying it. Most of the time, it's around $300 less. It is a lesser sound system. Quality-wise, it doesn't have the same sound quality, but if you don't compare them side by side, you'd never know it. The J8 could be a fine speaker for a wedding DJ. I use the J8 when I have a situation where there's a moisture potential. Like this past summer, I was under tents. I use the J8 more under the tents than I did the Evolves, because the J8 is a complete plastic box. It has all of the little things in the back are recessed. There's no electronics up on top of it. So if it did rain, it could take some misting on such, or water coming down from the top, and it wouldn't damage the speaker. Where the Evolve has some electronics on the top of the back. So if it did rain, there could be the potential of something getting wet that would be catastrophic. So definitely a better design for if you need that outdoor or speaker that can be outdoor and can be indoor. And then the J8 also has an adjustable pole. You can make it so it's short, or you can add all the sections and make it a taller pole and adjust it up and down, which is kind of cool. The Evolve, they do make a shorter version of the pole, but it's basically pole top and you're done. So each has some benefits and such as you look for those. So, well, cool. That's kind of what I wanted to hit on tonight. I don't know, Dan, have you seen some of the updates? Because we haven't. It's been a couple of weeks since we talked. We've got pretty much the schedule now fully set speaker wise for February. We've had a couple more people added to the schedule. Tony Fernandez is going to come in and talk a little bit about adding some mixes to a wedding DJ's repertoire. Tony likes to talk about utilizing remixes, and he's going to be talking about using quick mixes and such in DJ sets, specifically wedding DJ sets. So Tony's going to be coming in there. And then Mike Lenstra, our disc jockey news, Mike Lenstra here, who has been with us writing here for a number of years, is going to be coming down and making his speaking debut at a DJ event. He's done some things for his local chamber and such, but now he'll be coming to Vegas to hang out with us. So for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, February 24th through the 27th, we're going to be doing a DJ convention in Las Vegas. You can go out to DJNTV.com/show. That will take you to the page that we have the list of all the seminars and speakers on. It has the master classes and such. It has some information links at the top where you can click to go buy the tickets if you want to. In the description of this video, there is the link, DJNTV.com/tickets, and then there's the promo code. Promo code of DJNTV Show 2020. That will get you the current ticket price, which is $225. Today we found out, actually, Dan, with our room. I don't know. Did you get to see some pictures of the Brunswick room we're going to be in?
I did, because remember how he's going to make it look like $100.
There we go. Yes, thank you. That $100 statement. So we've got a beautiful room down at the South Point. And if you follow my Facebook page, you saw some of the pictures because I posted those there. What's interesting is initially they told us that the room could be only set for this many people. And for some reason, the marketing staff there, and I don't know why, they missed by about half as far as it can hold about twice the amount of people that they initially thought. So we thought we were going to be having to turn people away here when we hit 200 people. That was going to be it. So now this room is actually, it's larger than we thought, and they figured that we're going to be able to handle somewhere in that 400 range, 400, 500, if we get that point. So that was kind of an interesting thing. So that's going to change a little bit of our January promotion. We were going to be changing and doing some things with that, but we talked as kind of the guys putting it together and the leadership of this, and it's like, let's change this so we can maybe have more DJs come in and go past that 200 mark. So, yeah.
Nice.
It should be fun. We should be fun. And as Dan said, Howie's going to be doing some things with the light show. It just depends on how much we can set up in that time, because we have the room from 8 in the morning, and then we start at noon. It's like a real DJ show where, the venue person opens the door as they get there to start cooking the chicken for supper, and you've got 2 hours to set up, and then the guests arrive. Yeah, that's what we got. So,
but if you've got 400 DJs, then that means you can bring all that gear. You set it up in 5 seconds.
Yeah, if everybody grabs a piece. Okay, guys, as you're coming in, grab a piece, bring it in, set it up, and go.
So it's $225, but you got to work for it.
Yeah.
You got to work yourself down. That's the trade-off for getting the special deal.
I would even go as far as anyone who is helping move stuff to take them down to Steak and Shake and buy them a shake. I would. Man, during happy hour.
Now I wish I wasn't holding down the fort here and I could come out just for that shake.
Yeah, but it would have to be during the happy hour time where it's half price.
Now you're getting a little specific. Because I would be missing somebody's seminar during
That's true. That's very true. So we'll have to go after hours when they're full price, but that's okay. Yeah, this is gonna be just Howie. This is gonna be like real life. Yeah, this will be DJ setup in real life for a convention. So it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that coming up here in February. Let's see. So next week, because we're getting towards the end of the year here, we've got, I think next week we have, Dan, we're going to have to talk about next week. Actually, next week, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it until we might be starting a few minutes late Monday night because of a concert. My children have a concert Monday night, and I want to make sure I hit that. So
just tell them to play at home, and now you've heard it. Now they don't have to show.
So next week, there's question marks. Then we'll have the 23rd. And the 23rd and 30th, yeah, because we really don't get off for Christmas or New Year's because we're on an odd night. Because we're like the night before Christmas, and we're like the night of New Year's. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's why we missed it last year, because we were New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
It was right on. So yeah, that was like weeks off, and we forgot how to do shows and everything. It was crazy and sad.
Shani came back and it was like,
So yeah, so next week we got a question mark on next week. We'll have to see. I've got to find out what the time frame is on that, and if we'll be doing a show later, if we'll be doing one on time, and then we'll be the 23rd and 30th, and then wrapping up the year, getting ready for next year. So coming up later this week, tomorrow night we have Ben Stowe. Will be doing his last show for the year tomorrow night because Christmas Eve and such are there, and the following week, the 17th. I'm actually going to be doing a show on Tuesday night for the Canadian Disc Jockey Association. So I'll be there doing some things with them. So tomorrow night, the 10th, will be our last Ben Stowe of the year. We'll be going through some things with that. Then Brian Red and Jay Brandon are on tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Howie, I don't know if Jimmy's talked to you yet, but he volunteered you to do a live, Jimmy volunteered you to do a live hangout on Wednesday night. So I'm just going to say, Howie, that Howie's hosting a live hangout Wednesday night, and we'll be posting more information about that so you guys can get the link. But that's going to be a live DJ hangout where you can all jump in on Zoom and enjoy some time hanging out and sharing how the fall has gone for everybody. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the next few days and next week or so. So
this time is a crazy time of year, but in the same respect, I will say this: I love the fact that I'm gonna tout you for a second. The shows that are lined up, there's some consistency there. So we have to take off for certain holidays, but it helps because I know on a Tuesday night I can tune into these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I know on a Wednesday I can tune into these guys. So even if things are crazy with everything else going on, there's some normalcy. And it's good for us.
And one of the cool things that I hadn't realized how many people do it is that they'll be going for a walk, they'll be working in the garage and do something, and the people just turned on their cell phone and into their Bluetooth headset. They're not watching, they're listening. Especially as Brian's talking about music and different things. It's really kind of cool how we have developed this kind of sense of family within this group of DJs within the community, where people, as you say, come in and know that there's, they're going to hear Brian talking on a Tuesday night and bringing his calm demeanor to, his kind of roll with the punches type of demeanor he brings on a Tuesday night. It's just one of those things that has really become that familiar, homey feel. It's kind of neat.
Agreed.
So, alrighty, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it, right?
I think it is.
Okay. So on that note, hopefully we maybe even piqued your curiosity. So if you do have some of those money and your accountant says you need to spend it, we gave you some ideas of some things to think about and maybe why they were good for you. And if we didn't, well, then save your money and invest in something else that's going to be better for you because you realize and put the thought into it. And had fun with that. But it's been a pleasure joining all of you. As John said, make sure you're listening or checking out the emails to figure out exactly what's happening with next week. In the meantime, though, enjoy your week. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.